Cosmic Blessings everyone, this is Jeremy. In this video I'm going to show you my Crystal Healing book collection. Since I have a quite average selection of books, so I'm just going to give you a little tour of my books and just to give you thoughts about the book. So, oh, check this out, I got some tinctures. Okay, so I'm going to get the books. Okay. First book is The Crystal Bible by Judy Hall, and the reason why I love this book is because it goes through every common crystal. I looked at Volume 2 and Volume 3, and there's some crystals that I've seen, and there's like a lot of them that I just never heard of, but if you're starting out, if you're looking for a, an average small book about, crystals and their properties, and for general information about different types of crystals, this is the book for you. And that is The Crystal Bible by Judy Hall. And the next book is Crystal Basics. And it has so many exercises of, any physical, mental, emotional, spiritual ailments that you may have. This is a book for you. It just goes through many exercises of what you can do with crystals if you have no idea how to incorporate, this crystal when you're doing crystal healing work. Next is Crystal Therapy, and this was actually, I won this in a giveaway by Adam Peacock, and I just wanted to add this to my crystal book collection, and it just has general information about really like small information about crystals and what archangel or angel they associate with it, because it's a Doreen Virtue book and duh, you gotta have angels in her work. Next is one of my favorites is Crystal Grids, How and Why They Work by Hibiscus Moon, and I just had to have this book. Anything by Hibiscus Moon, I love her work. I just love how she teaches, and when I was reading this book, it's like she was talking to me. And there are some books, like many crystal healing books, talk about how to a little general information about crystal grids, but this goes over the topics of crystal grids, and that is Crystal Grids, How and Why They Work. And I just love this book. Next is the Crystal Lotus Handbook, an essential guide to crystals, and this is from Margarita. She actually has a YouTube channel, and if you just search up, Margarita and crystals, then you should find her. This book has tons of information, and somewhere in the end it gives you a little layout of how to do like a simple crystal healing session, and just look at all this illustrations and information, and I actually paid like $30 for this book, and I have to say it's actually worth it, and it just has so much information and pictures. Next is, and I'm going to the Katrina Raphael volume series, and I have Crystal Enlightenment. This is her first book, volume 1, and I feel like if you want to start out with crystal healing and to really get to know to really get to know it, I recommend starting out with her series, because a lot of crystal healing books just talks about crystals and their properties and other information about curing ailments, but this is talking about getting started with the healing work of crystals, as well as volume 2. I don't have volume 3, or I think she made a 4th book, or I think that's completely separated, but Katrina Raphael for volume series is a great start. Next book is Crystal's Meditation. I actually, some of these books I found, especially the Katrina Raphael, I found at a secondhand bookstore, and it was like really cool because I found so many books that I cannot find, and books that I just don't want to pay full price, because I really like used books, because the person who owned it before probably has like an interest in the metaphysical healing arts. So there's Crystal's Meditation. It's really small, and I got this for $3. That's pretty sweet. And then it just has different meditations when you're working with a particular crystal that they gave you. So there's like meditate toward your destiny, meditate toward self-knowledge, meditate for emotional calm, meditate on change, meditate for strength and wisdom, meditate for love. Actually, I could have done. I haven't really went through this book, but I was like, I could have done this on Valentine's Day for you guys to do a guided meditation. Well, I'm gonna do guided meditations videos on this channel, which will be pretty cool. And next, I have gemstone reflexology, and this is primarily for people who knows reflexology and massage and pressure points and all that, but you're just working with crystals. Look at the ear. That's a pretty clean ear. And I could see hairs on the ear. So next is The Indian Secrets of Crystal Healing. The reason why I got this book is because when I began watching, I was watching Hibiscus, braces again. Hibiscus's her videos in the beginning, and I saw that she had this book about the 7-day cleanse with your crystals, and I just had to have this book. And I did take some notes. I have some. I highlighted some good information, and it's a really good book to start with to get really in touch with the spirituality of crystals instead of just having a crystal because they're pretty. But it talks about getting a respecting and developing a relationship with your crystals. Next is Healing with Gemstones and Crystals by Diane Stein. Diane Stein, she actually written a really popular book called Essential Reiki. And this one just goes over just the properties of crystals. And I got this at the used bookstore. Pretty cool. And it just talks about what color associates what chakra, and because she comes from a Wiccan background, she's going to use the word goddess on here instead of like spirit, source, or divine consciousness, universal consciousness. She uses the word goddess because she comes from a pagan Wiccan background. Next is Crystal Meditation. I haven't really got into this book, but I'm thinking that this really goes over just planetary crystal properties, shamanic uses of crystals. But hopefully I could get into this book. Next is Healing Crystals and Gemstones from Amethyst to Zircon. I got this at the bargain section of Barnes & Noble. And it just goes over the properties of crystals. And if you're wondering, Jeremy, why are you getting the same books if they're gonna just talk about the properties? I like to build like a metaphysical library, and that's like one of my goals. And it's to also get if I'm looking up a crystal, I want to know each and every author's like experiences or like their general information on them, what information that I have channeled, and kind of like compare them and just see how I can determine the property of this crystal. So there's that. And next, and the final one, is The Crystal Healer by Philip Permit. Yes. And I really love this book. It's one of those good starter books because it just talks about because it's divided by sections by the color. So there's your blue section, your violet section, and use of how to place crystals over your chakras, how to cleanse them. This is a great starter book. I highly recommend. So find The Crystal Healer, and it's a really good book. So yeah, gonna place the books down, and that's my crystal healing book collection. If you try looking at your secondhand bookstores, because you're gonna find like a New Age section, and then they have like also like old volumes, older versions of the books, and you could get them for really cheap. So thank you guys for watching. Until next time, namaste.